Okay, so Masekhet Makkot, class number 1. And the pasuk that the first Mishnah is based upon is in Devarim, Perek Yotet, Pasuk Tet Zayin. I'm going to read the pasuk, and then after I read the pasuk, I'm going to give a brief introduction to Masekhet Makkot. Okay? So the pasuk says, Ki yakum ed Hamas beish la'anot bosara. So you have an ed Hamas, and ed Hamas, the peshat of ed Hamas is what Ankelos says, a witness who is testifying falsely against someone. That's an ed Hamas. La'anot bosara. And he comes to court and he makes this false testimony. And two people, they come to court, they appear before the judges. The shofetim, they interrogate these two witnesses. It ends up that the first witness, we said in Pasuk Tet Zayin, it ends up that the first witness was lying. They interrogated there's a second set of witnesses. The Dayanim, the Shofetim, interrogate the second set of witnesses, and it comes out that the first witness was lying. What is the punishment for the first witness? The Pasuk says, Va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achiv. You do unto the first witness what he was planning to do to the defendant. So there's a defendant, the defendant is being accused of murder, and the punishment for murder is death penalty. So va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achiv, we take the false witness and we give him death penalty. That's what the pasuk says again in Perashat Shofetim, Sefer Devarim, Perek Yotet, starting with pasuk Tet Zayin. That's the Torah shebichtav background for the Mishnah that we're now reading. So always you have to understand what the Torah shebichtav is, because as you know, the Torah shebe'al peh is actually an interpretation of the Torah shebichtav. So before you even start reading the Mishnah, it's important to understand what part of the Torah shebichtav is being interpreted. So those are the pesukim. And now I want to give you an introduction to Masekhet Makkot. And Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi Nathan, who is joining us via live feed. All right. Okay. Masechet Makkot deals with bodily punishments which are inflicted exclusively by the court, by the Bet Din. Now, there's another Masechet that deals with bodily punishments that are inflicted exclusively by the Bet Din, and that Masechet is Masechet Sanhedrin, correct? Arba'a mitot Bet Din. There are 4 types of capital punishment. And it's interesting because in the earlier Gemariot, and when I say earlier Gemariot, let me actually be a bit more precise. In the Talmud Yerushalmi, Masechet Sanhedrin has Arba'a mitot Bet Din. That's how it finishes, or that's at the end of Masechet Sanhedrin. And then Masechet Makkot is just a continuation of Masechet Sanhedrin. It was not split into 2 Masechtot. And for obvious reasons. The subject is the same. Punishments that can only be brought upon a person by a Bet Din. So it would make sense that Masechet Makkot is actually just part of Masechet Sanhedrin. So that's the way it was in the Yerushalmi. For reasons that I do not know, and I'm not sure if anybody knows the reason, the Masechet Bavli, it was split into 2. Maybe this happened in the days of the Sevoraim. At least my father, Mor Abba, speculates that this may have happened, because he also doesn't have any evidence. It may have happened in the days of the Sevoraim, where they split it into 2 Masechtot, Masechet Sanhedrin, Arba'a mitot Bet Din, and Masechet Makkot, which has to do with Malkut. Okay, so that's the way it is. That's the way things are organized in the in the Talmud Bavli. So for us, it's a separate Masekhet. What is the Nafkamina Halacha L'Maaseh? Nafkamina Halacha L'Maaseh, it's a very short Masekhet, and when we finish the Masekhet, we can have a Siyum Masechta and have a party. Whereas if it was all Masechet Sanadim, it may have taken a very long time. So now we have the Siyum Masechta a little sooner. That's a Nafkamina Halacha L'Maaseh. Okay. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam She'akol Yam Yitbarach.
Could it have been because they wanted Kol Yisrael to be the last Perek, so to sort of end on a...
Nice. And many must... Well, that's a very nice point. It could be, yes, it could be. Many Masechtot end on Miltad Agatta, nice agadic material. And it could be that maybe they wanted to end it on a nice thing. No argument. And if anything, actually, that's a nice idea.
Like you look at, okay, it's 30 chapters. It's going to be impossible to have it as one Masekhet of
right.
Talmud. But, so, okay, 11 chapters, 14, you say it was probably not because of the length.
Right. Could be, by all means. By the way, it was originally the 30 chapters of Masekhet Bava Kama, Messiah, and Batra were all called Masekhet Nezikin. That was the original thing. Then they split it but it's really one Masechet. Now, Masechet Kelim also is 30 chapters, and it's one Masechet, right? So it's the same, but okay. Now, I want to talk about the world around us for a moment. You know that there's life forms in the world. And the life forms, living entities, they like to build structured habitats, right? So you have like towering termite colonies, which have very specific different compartments and built in a very clear, structured manner, okay? Or you have hexagonal honeycombs that bees produce these perfect hexagons, okay? Or, for example, you don't even need to look at living things. You can look just at the way Hashem designed the world. So you see the Fibonacci sequence in the world in many, many cases, right? So there's a lot of structures in the world. That's the way Hashem designed the world. And life forms, they build structures. Human beings, they need structure in order to understand. And not surprisingly, the sugyot in the Gemara, they have structures. And one of the things that I want to do in this class is to show you some of these deeper structures in the Gemara. Because when you have the structure of a sugya, let's say you're studying a sugya and you understand the structure, it's easier to remember, it's easier to understand, and then you see the interrelationships between the different parts of the sugya, and most importantly, it brings the whole sugya to life. It's an amazing experience. It really is. People have told me, because I've taught Gemara in Eretz Yisrael, and yeshiva boys who like Talmidei Chachamim who went to yeshiva all their lives and really worthy of me teaching them Torah. They told me that the way I taught them the Gemara, they felt like they were in the yeshiva in Babel, and they finally understood what's happening around them. So I don't only want to teach you the structures, but I want to give you a lucid description of what the Gemara is. What's happening in the Gemara? What is a yeshiva? Who is the Nasi? What are these back and forth discussions? What is Tanya, Tanur Rabbanan? What's the difference between Tanya and Tanur Rabbanan and Tana? What is Itmar, right? So these are important words. Now, if you don't know the meaning of these words, technical terminology, you're not following the sugya properly. So I'm going to do all of that as well, but it's all going to be based upon structures. Okay. Now, having said that, everybody has a Gemara, and Rabbi Nathan, you're welcome to, if you have something to comment, you're of course welcome to comment as well. Okay, we just got a thumbs up. All right. So, here we go. We are on Daf Bet Amud Aleph. Okay. Daf Bet Amud Aleph. Now today I'm already telling you this is going to be an introductory lesson. Okay, I'm just going to introduce the subject. We're going to probably read the first Mishna, and I'm building it. I'm intentionally building it this way, so have patience, because when we get into the Gemara, you're really going to appreciate the Gemara much more because of this introduction that I'm giving to you now. Okay? All right. Kesad ha'edim ne'isim zomemim. That is the introductory question of the Mishnah. And I'm going to translate it as a preliminary matter as follows. And this is just a preliminary translation of this question. What is the procedure through which witnesses are shown to be zomem mean? Okay? What is the procedure? How does a witness how does he attain the legal status of zomem? Because Eid zomem is a little different than Eid shaker. You have a false witness, right? A false witness is a witness that lies in court. But not every Eid shaker or Eid sheker, not every Eid sheker is also an Eid zomem. So there's something very precise, legally speaking, about what makes a witness an Eid zomem. That's number one. Now, you know that I have legal training because I'm an attorney, and notwithstanding the current congressional hearings on Donald Trump, which have really brought down the legal profession tremendously, for those of you who may have seen the constitutional law experts sitting there and talking about all types of things that can really bore the hell out of a person. And anybody who was watching that may have or may have found the cure to insomnia. But that's neither here nor there. But I am an attorney. And it's interesting because we're dealing here with criminal law. This is criminal law, right? So in Judaism, a false witness is considered a criminal. And here's the point that I want to make, because we have the word zomem, and you have in criminal law the idea of mens rea. What is mens rea? Mens rea is that when a criminal commits a crime, there is always going to be a particular mental state that he had to have in order for the crime to be considered criminal. I will give you an example. So you have Billy. Billy, he takes these hedge clippers, right? We used to cut, for the hedges, these big scissors, right? He takes the hedge clippers and he decapitates his neighbor. Now, when he's decapitating his neighbor, and he kills him, the neighbor dies. Now, when he decapitates the neighbor, he believes that he's actually cutting down his prized petunias. Okay, he committed the act of murder, but he's not considered a murderer. Why is he not considered a murderer? Because the mens rea, the particular mental state that he needs to have when he's decapitating the person, has to be an evil mental state. He has to say, I want to kill this person. But you don't want to kill the person. So he's not a criminal, he's crazy. He's insane. So maybe he needs to be put in a mental hospital, but that's not a crime. So here also, I like the idea of zomem. Zomem means you had a particular state of mind. That's important. So in order to be considered an Eid, you could be an Eid sheker and not necessarily be an Eid zomem, right? For example, an Eid sheker could be a person who comes to court and stupidly thinks that something happened when it didn't happen. That doesn't make him an Eid zomem, right? So we're dealing with what turns him into an Eid zomem. And we looked at the pasuk. We looked at the pasuk in Perashat Devarim, and for those of you who walked in late, it's Perashat Shofetim, Sefer Devarim, Perashat Shofetim, Perek Yotet, at the end of the chapter. You'll see there about the Eid zomem. Now, what is the punishment for an Eid zomem? The punishment for an Eid zomem is va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achim. What does that mean? Va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam. So I brought the example. He was accusing somebody of being mehalel Shabbat, befarhesya, be'aidim, behatra'a. What's the punishment for that? Death penalty, sakila. Comes this person, and now he is shown to be an Eid zomem. What do we do to him? We give him sakila. He wanted the defendant to get sakila. He ends up that he's an Eid zomem. He was lying. He gets sakila. And now I want to introduce you to one of the great mahlokot between the Chachamim and the Sadukim. This is going to be a mahloket that goes, and that's going to be important to understanding the sugyot that we're about to read. And the mahloket is as follows. The pasuk says, "Va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achim." The Chachamim say, "Ka'asher zamam, velo ka'asher asa." Ka'asher zamam means as follows. When do we institute the punishment for an Eid zomem and say, you wanted to bring capital punishment for the defendant, we are now going to give you capital punishment. It has to be that he planned in his mind to do it. But if he actually succeeded, you do not give him the punishment. That's what the Hachamim say. Again, Ka'asher Zamam, Velo Ka'asher Asa. So let's say, for example, again, Reuven and Shimon, two Aidim, they accuse Levi of being Mechalel Shabbat, Befaresya, Behatra'ah, and now they take Levi and they execute him. They give him capital punishment. Now, Reuven and Shimon are shown to be Aidim Zomemir. It comes out they were liars. We don't execute them. But the pasuk says, "Va'asitem lo kasher zamam la'asot le'achiv." So what do the Chachamim say? Kasher zamam la'asot le'achiv. The pasuk says it has to be something they planned to do, but if they succeeded in doing it, there is no punishment. The laws of Edim Zomemim do not apply. Okay, that's very important. I'll tell you in a moment. I'll tell you what the Saddukim say. Okay?
Well, then I use the Talmud that if Zamam gets it, then when they actually kill them, all the more reason they should be punished.
You are expressing the opinion of the Saddukim.
Okay.
Yeah. No. It's quite all right. It's quite all right. But that's when you're expressing it, and it's okay. But let me explain first of all the logic of the Hachamim, and after I explain the logic of the Hachamim, then I will bring the opinion of the Saddukim. The logic of the Hachamim is brought by Ramban Nachmani. Ramban Nachmani says that in Judaism, punishment for a sin implies atonement for the sin. So let's say a person did a particular Avera and he gets Malkut for the Avera. Once he gets Malkut, he re-enters the Kahal, he is considered equal to everyone, he has no Avera, that's it. It's complete atonement for what he did. So, what's happening with the Eid Zomem? The Eid Zomem wants to manipulate the legal system to bring about a nefarious result. If he succeeds, it's such a terrible sin that we do not have atonement for him. And we tell him, buddy, you're on your own. That's a terrible place to be, right? Because if you're in a place where the Bet Din says, guy, we can't help you, that's a really bad place to be. So that's the opinion of the Chachamim. The Chachamim say if you succeeded in having somebody executed or having somebody receive a particular punishment, you perverted the legal system, then just good luck to you, and let Hashem deal with you, and Hashem will do whatever it is that Hashem wants to do. Okay? That's the opinion of the Hachamim. What is the opinion of the Saddukim? The opinion of Saddukim is no. They say, Harag, horegim oto. Lo harag, lo horegim oto. The Saddukim say, if he was successful and he actually brought about his nefarious plan and he caused the execution of the defendant, then he himself, this false witness, will be executed. But if he was not able to bring about the execution of the defendant, then he didn't do anything wrong. He tried. It's like if a person tries to do an avera, the Gemara deals with a person that wanted to eat chaylev, but ended up eating shuman. Okay, you wanted to eat chaylev and you ate shuman, you didn't do an avon, right? So, ratzah le'echol chaylev v'achal shuman. Okay, that's it. So same thing, he wanted to pervert the legal system, but he failed. No punishment for him. That's the opinion of the Saddukim. Understand? Okay. Now
our
yes.
Western mind thinking that tzedek kedov, in hindsight, we don't think it's so foreign, maybe what they're saying, and that's why I guess there's that machloket.
Right.
That you might think, look, nobody got killed, we're gonna kill that guy now to that extent. There's no lesser punishment. And yet, but if he already actually killed the guy, he's like laughing, I got him killed, and he died, and nothing's happening to me, he's laughing to the party. And it seems somewhat unjust.
Yes.
But I guess is there not an idea of the problem is you undo the court system. The court, if the Chachamim actually said this guy was guilty, they killed him, and we don't go back and say, okay, now, like we made a mistake, because then the whole system crumbles. No, in other words, if you say that the judgment that was passed,
Right.
and therefore Hamid didn't want them to keep that more important, I guess, so to speak, maybe.
Right. But you have, understood. But you appreciate the fact that we're saying there's some people we can't help. No, he did, the harm he did, he did, and it can't be undone. It's over. The person was executed, the person received Makkot, whatever happened, happened. We cannot help him. We cannot undo that harm. Maybe we should make introspect and understand how it is that we got manipulated and played this way. All good questions. But as a legal system, ad kan tehum Shabbat. More than this, we cannot do. That's the point of the Hachamim.
This brought to my mind, Igla Arufa. In other words, when we have somebody innocent that passed away on our watch or on our time. We have Kapara. So I guess that court or like so maybe they have to do, did they do teshuvah? Was there some form of?
ידינו לא שפכו את הדם הזה ועינינו לא ראו כפר נא לעמך ישראל. Right. The answer is yes. Right there. And then the
So
book
in
of
this
Shemot.
case, we killed some of them. We found out after the fact that shouldn't have been.
No problem. That's the subject of Hilchot Teshuvah, Hilchot Yom Kippurim. I'm not negating that, but that's not a subject of criminal law. That's the point. The point of the Hachamim is, well, all these are important theological issues, but it's not part of criminal law. That's all. So criminal law is, what do we do with this person? The answer is nothing. We can't help him. That's the point. Okay? Now, yes, sir, Albert, and then Joey. I'm sorry. Yes, and give me some
So
more.
logical Hachamim, why would that be so different than say, it would be almost like saying attempted murder should be a capital crime, but actual murder,
Right.
well now you're not going to get.
Right. No,
The attempted zomen.
I agree. By the way, listen, there was a case in Israel recently where, not recently, a few years ago, where a guy walked up and he killed a rabbi. I think it would be Abu Hasira, one of the family Abu Hasira. He walked into yeshiva and killed him, and there was, 100 people there. Rabbi Eliezer Abu Hasira, I think his name was, or I don't remember, Allah Shalom. He was a Talmid Chacham, Nishmato Eden. But the point is, so somebody asked him, if the Bet HaMikdash was around, what would we do? The answer is nothing. There was no hatra'ah. There was Aidim, there was no hatra'ah. How can that be? But we all know he killed him. Doesn't matter. We're dealing here with law. In law, in criminal law, you need to satisfy the requirements of the law. Whatever that is, that theological issues around that, put those theological issues on the side. Now we'll go back, but first I did promise I'm going to ask. I'll address.
How did Tzedukim understand the pasuk kasher zaman v'lo kasher asa?
Right.
Is that maybe I'm jumping the gun? Is that
Say it again. I didn't say your point.
How did Tzedukim tackle the pasuk kasher zaman v'lo kasher asa?
Right.
If they're interpreting it the other way, then how exactly are they looking at this?
Right. They will say that the pasuk means kasher zamam la'asot le'achiv v'asitim lo kasher zamam la'asot, and he was successful.
Okay.
Right? In other words, who is to say that in this nefarious plan of his, he was not successful? Right? So they will say, and the pasuk is dealing with a case where he succeeded in his intention, in his evil, nefarious thing. But I agree with you. I do agree.
When you say the asa part, that means that
By the way,
successful.
and I agree that the pasuk does fit more nicely with the Hachamim.
Right.
That is correct. Like it no question.
Yeah.
But still, we all know that there's an argument for everything, and for every argument there's a counter argument, and go convince people and change your minds. So. But yes, the pasuk is 100% more eloquently explained by the Hachamim over the Sadukim. Okay, so let's read the first case in the Mishnah, and you're going to immediately detect an anomaly, and I'd like to see if you see what the anomaly is. Let's read the first case. Again, what is the procedure through which one becomes or attains, a witness attains the legal status of Eid Zomem, as in Parashat Shofetim? And here goes. Case number 1. Me'idim anu ve'ish peloni shehu ben gerusha o ben halusa. En omerin ye'aseh ze ben gerusha o ben halusa tahtav ella loke et ha'arba'im. Okay, this is the first case. The witnesses come, the false witnesses, and they say, this person, the defendant, he is a ben gerusha. This person, the defendant, he is a ben halusa. I will explain. As you know, there are laws of marriage that apply to kohanim, that do not apply that do not necessarily apply to Yisrael. So, for example, a Kohen is not allowed to marry a Gerusha. He's not allowed to marry a divorcee. So one of the things that the Rabbanut has to do when somebody comes to get married in Israel, they have to check, is he a Kohen? If he's a Kohen, then they're going to check who's the wife, was she married before? They'll look at the records and they'll say, we can't do the marriage, we're sorry, goes, this is against the Jewish law. That's number one, Ben Gerusha. Another thing, a Kohen is not allowed to marry a halusa. So a halusa is if a woman was married to, let's say, Reuven, and she had no children, and Reuven, they had no children, and Reuven died and had a brother. The brother Shimon makes halisa on this widow. And that halisa that he does on the widow is considered a type of divorce. Okay? A Kohen is not allowed to marry a divorcee or a halusa. That's a law. Now, let's say a Kohen marries somebody like that. According to halakha, this comes to me, sometimes issues came to me. Specific issues without, So according to halakha, the child is halal. And this halal has a certain status. And one of the statuses is that he himself loses the kehuna. It's like he was desecrated. He was brought down to hol. He was in a kadosh state, and now he's in a hol state. Okay, so now they're coming. Reuven and Shimon are looking at this kohen. We believe he's a kohen, and he's a kohen, at least by birth he's a kohen. And they say yes, but he's a ben gerusha or ben halusa, meaning this person is a halal. He should not be invited to Aliyat Kohen. He shouldn't say Kohanim on the Duchan. If it was at the days of the Bet HaMikdash, he doesn't eat Terumot the Ma'asrot. Obviously, he's not going to go and do Avodat Bet HaMikdash on the Mizbeach. That's the testimony. Okay. What's anomalous about this particular case? Who knows? There's something anomalous about this case.
They don't do the kasher zaman.
First of all, you're 100% right. I agree with you.
What are they trying to hurt him with?
Okay.
Well, you can't take away their status. When you can't do back unless they're Kohanim, right?
Right, okay, let's assume he's a Kohen. The Eidim, okay, right, the Kohanim, whether they're Kohanim or whether they're not Kohanim. Let's even say the Eidim are Kohanim. Okay?
Just say halal direct, like, or
there's something anomalous about the case that the Mishnah brought, okay? And I want to tell you what's anomalous about it. And then I want to read to you Harambam in Ilchot Eilu, because he organized a particular halakha, which I'm going to read for you in a very specific way. Okay.
Is the Eidut not really on the guy but on his parents?
Okay.
Then you're Eidut that his father married a Grusha.
But here's an important point. I don't disagree with what you just said, by the way. I don't disagree with what you just said. But here's an important point. The law of Edim Zomemim is part of criminal law. So the Edim Zomemim are coming to accuse the defendant of a crime. Similar to what you said. Here, there is no crime committed. Here we are dealing with the status, with the Yohasin. Where's the crime? There is no crime. Why start with an anomalous situation? There's a reason. I will answer that question. Okay? But there is no crime. It's just his legal status, and he didn't even do anything. As you said, his parents, or his father, did something. So there's no crime. Okay. So look at the second case. I mean, and by the way, what are we doing to the person? He's not receiving a criminal punishment. Meaning, if we believe the Eidim, this person is not going to receive a criminal punishment. He's going to be restricted in who he can marry. So that's a consequence. Again, it's not he's going to be punished by the Bet Din. Let's say it comes out that Reuven and Shimon say this person is a halal. What is the Bet Din? They're going to give him Malkut. They're not going to do anything to him. He's going to want to marry they're going to put this, and his children are going to be halalim. Okay, that's a status, but they're not punishing him. Okay? Why start with this anomalous situation? Let's read the second case in the Mishnah. מעידים אנו באיש פלוני, שהוא חייב לגלות. Okay. Second case. Reuven and Shimon come and say the defendant is guilty of negligent homicide. Harag beshogeg. Harag beshogeg. He killed somebody beshogeg. And we're going to deal with a different, we're going to have a whole chapter to deal with this, so you're going to all be experts in what it means, laharog b'shogeg, what's shogeg, what's honest. So put that on the side for now. En omnim yigleze tahtav. Now, when a person is horeg b'shogeg, the punishment is he goes into exile. He goes to the Arei Miklat, one of the Arei Miklat, one of the Arei Halviyim, and he's there. Okay? En omnim yigleze tahtav. Ella loket arba'im. We do not say that this person should himself go into exile, but rather he gets malkut arba'im. Again, a second situation which is a bit anomalous in that there was no crime committed. When a person is horeg b'shogeg, he's not a criminal. There are consequences to his action. I agree with you. But he's not a criminal. There was nothing done in order to, again, the mens rea to commit a crime is there has to be intentionality. So mehalel Shabbat means that in your mind, you melechet mahashevet, you wanted to do a melachat. Intentionality is of the essence. If a person kills, there has to be intentionality. Every crime in Judaism, if a person eats chaylev, there has to be intentionality. Every crime requires intentionality. If there's no intentionality, it cannot be mezid. Mezid means he wanted to do that act. He did it with knowledge and with malice. So it may be a terrible thing. He killed Bishogeg. He was driving under the influence. He shouldn't have been doing it, but he's not a criminal. And I want to read to you Rambam in a moment, but first ask you a question, sir.
So, even though he killed Bishogeg,
right,
they still distinguish between Shogeg and honest.
Right.
I mean, there has to be some sort of
Agreed.
negligence.
100%. Right. That's going to be, we're going to study that. We're going to know all about the difference between shogeg and honest. 100%. Let me read to you Harambam. Hilchot Edut, Perek Het. Because Harambam saw this subject. He understood, of course, I mean, you know, I don't like to say that Harambam understood the matter. That would be a bit presumptuous of me. It's actually, we understand what Harambam is doing here. So I would prefer, I'm wording it that way. I understand what Harambam is doing here in Hilchot Edut, Perek Kaf Halacha Het. I'm reading to you the halacha. Listen to the cases that Harambam is bringing. All right. Okay. Aydim שהעידו על אחד והרשיעוהו רשע שאין בו לא מלכות ולא מיתה ולא חיוב ממון. Witnesses came and they accused the defendant of having committed a crime, which is not a crime. Why is it not a crime? Well, every crime that somebody commits, he either gets malkut, lashing, mitah, capital punishment, or he has to pay money for the crime he committed. There is no such thing as a crime in Judaism which doesn't have one of those three punishments. But that's what he was accused of. That's the anomalous situation where no crime was committed. Hare elu lokin. When there is no crime committed, but there are edim zomemim, then we take the edim zomemim, we give them malkut, because they did commit a crime. So they accuse somebody of doing something which is not a crime, but that accusation itself is a crime, and for that crime, there is malkut. Now look at the examples that Rambam brings. All right. Kesad. Ha'idhu al kohen shu halal. First case of our Mishnah. They said this kohen is actually a halal. Therefore, he cannot marry certain people. Keron she'a'idu befanenu. They come and say, we know for a fact that his mother was a divorcee. And then his father married a divorcee. Or nechlisa. We know for a fact that his mom received halisa, and then the father married after she received halisa. And they say, b'makom peloni, we know where the halisa took place. Beyom peloni, we know when the halisa took place. V'huzamu, and then they went through the process of azama, which I still didn't explain how you become an eid zomem. We will explain that soon. V'huzamu. In this case, for this anomalous situation where the accusation is not a criminal accusation, the edim zomim get malkut. Let's continue. Let's say they accuse the person of, this is case number 2 in the Mishnah, negligent homicide. And it ends up that the witnesses were lying and they become edim zomemim, lokin, ve'en angolin. They get malkut. We do not send them to exile because the exile is not a criminal punishment. You understand? But they're committing a crime. So here is a case of edim zomemin where they're accusing of a non-crime. The accusation is a non-crime, but they are criminals. So we cannot give them the consequences of a non-crime. We have to give them the consequences of having committed a crime. That has to be malkut. Let's go now to case number 3. העידו על שורו של זה שהרג הנפש והוזמו. הרי הן לוקין ואין משלמים את הכופר. Similar situation, shor, an ox that gored a person and killed the person. Again, they get malkut. And fourth case, final fourth case. And now I'm going to read to you something in Harambam, and then you're going to see why I'm reading this Harambam. Another situation, they say this man was sold as an Eved Ivri. It's again, it's a particular status, right? Nobody wants to, guy comes to marry, say, so you want to marry my daughter? Yeah, so yeah, can you just tell me something about yourself? So he's not going to say, yeah, well, I was sold as an Eved Ivri. That's not the first thing you mention to your future in-laws. So in this case, again, it's not a crime. He's not being accused of a crime, right? In this particular case, right? Shenimkar be'Eved Ivri. That mechira as an Eved Ivri. That itself is not a crime. He couldn't pay his debt, and now he suffers his consequences. Lokin. Be'arba'a devarim elu mipia kabalahen. That's what I wanted to read to you. Be'arba'a devarim elu mipia kabalahen. What does that mean? Be'arba'a devarim elu mipia kabbalah. That's the point of Harambam, and that's the key to understanding this Mishnah. Who knows what? Be'arba'a devarim elu mipia kabalahen.
Their tradition.
Right. And why is that so important? What do you mean mipia kabbalah?
Because it's not Sevara, for example, right?
It's not what?
It's not Sevara. It's not, you don't start with the principle.
I agree that it's not sevara, 100%. 100% not sevara.
And you started out with the cases and then came to the principle from the cases.
Okay, it's true. But there's a point Harambam is making which is a bit more important, I think. And it's as follows. We have the pasuk in the Torah, "Va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achiv," right? And the Mishnah and the Gemara asks a question. The Mishnah is asking a question, "Kesa de'erim ne'esim zomemim," and then it brings us cases where actually they're not following the pasuk in the Torah.
Right, so those cases wouldn't be ruled that way otherwise.
Right. If I look at the pasuk in the Torah, the pasuk says, Perek Kaf, pasuk Yotet of Sefer Devarim, Va'asitem lo ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achiv. And Ed Zomem is one who you do unto him what he wanted to do to the defendant. And here you're beginning with the cases where you don't do unto him what he wanted to do to the defendant, but rather you do something else. And that's why it's mipi hakabbalah. It's not from the Torah. It's not from the Torah shebichtav. If we were following the Torah shebichtav or the explanation of the Torah shebichtav that we received from Moshe Rabbeinu, we wouldn't know this law. But mipia Kabbalah, we know the Chachamim extended the criminal liability of an Ed Zomem even to cases where the accusation against the defendant is not a criminal accusation. And that's why we need mipia Kabbalah, because the pasuk is dealing with the criminal accusation. You understand the point? Now why start with this Mishnah? First of all, you understand. Does anybody not understand the point? If you don't, I will repeat it.
So it's similar to like Halachah Moshe Sinai. It's a truth handed down.
Right. So he doesn't allow. He doesn't say Kabbalah Moshe Sinai. Does the Halakha Moshe Sinai? He says mipia Kabbalah. Let's say it's even from Moshe Rabbeinu. Let's even say mipia Kabbalah. He means Moshe Rabbeinu was sitting down in Ohel Moed and was teaching these laws. But one thing we can all agree about, it's not from the pasuk, because the pasuk is dealing with a criminal accusation, meaning the defendant is being accused of having committed a crime. And that's why you accuse him of a crime, the punishment for the crime that you accused him will be inflicted on the Ed Zomem. But here, in this Mishnah, they're not accusing him of a crime. So the law of Edim Zomim should not apply. So it's Mipia Kabbalah. Okay, so now you understand there's a pasuk and there's a Mishnah. So why is it that that we consider this to be Eid Zomem? How are these people, how are these Eidim Zomemim, the ones we brought in the Mishnah, considered to be Eidim Zomemim? We're saying that they're not receiving the punishment that they wanted to do upon the defendant. You understand my question?
Can I ask you?
Yes.
Hacham,
Yeah. Yes.
Impeachment.
could this be against the Sedokim?
So repeat your question again. I'm sorry, Mihilai.
Could this be a polemic, not polemic, but an attack on the Sedokim?
Elaborate. I'd like to understand what you're saying a little better.
That we had started the class by saying that with the Sedokim, that they're going literally, in terms of the Pasuk itself, they're saying that Kasher Zaman, Hachamim read that with a certain lens.
Right.
Over here, it seems like we're starting with the actual Kabbalah in explaining the Pasuk.
Right.
So we're attaching tradition with the Pasuk and not just reading the Pasuk and looking at it as it is, but we're saying that there are other elements along with it that are very important when we're reading a Pasuk. So it's like the Talmud is starting off, the Mishnah is starting off by saying you have to include within this learning of the Pasuk the Divrei Kabbalah along with it.
Right. I understand your point. Right. It's a kind of a general point, and the point that Rabbi Nathan is making is that by the Hachamim, perhaps by the Hachamim starting with this Mishnah, they're pointing out that we have a Torah Shebe'al Peh, and the Torah Shebe'al Peh, it expands the field of the law beyond what the very Pesukim would say. It could be that there's something to that. I think that there's something a little more. Okay, but I think there might be something a little more, and I'll tell you the way I understand this this law, and this actually I learned it from my father, and it's as follows. So. So you're saying that we're not doing to the witnesses what they wanted to do to the defendant, but there is a concept that we're going to talk about now, and that is a concept of transformation. Let me tell you a little about the idea of transformation. So, there's some debate among the archaeologists, where Har Sinai is. So some people identify Har Sinai as a place in the Sinai desert. And then other archaeologists say, no, Har Sinai is actually in Saudi Arabia. I personally think it's in Saudi Arabia, but it doesn't really matter because, you're free to think whatever you want. It's not one of the Yesodei HaTorah. So you can have whatever opinion you want to on this. And then you would say, well, how can you say that? I mean, Har Sinai is such an incredible, holy place. How can you say that it doesn't matter? And I'm telling you it doesn't matter. And the reason it doesn't matter is because of the idea of transformation. So whatever Kedusha was in Har Sinai transformed and became a completely secular place. It's no longer Kadosh. So what happened to the Kedusha of Har Sinai? And the answer is it all went to where Yaakov Avinu saw his dream in this week's Parashah. That place where Yaakov Avinu went, that's the Kedusha of Har Sinai, right? So this idea of transformation is an important idea in Jewish thinking, right? And one of the ideas of transformation is in punishment. In punishment, we have here, they wanted to hurt this person's status, right? So they want to turn it into a halal. You can't eat terumah anymore. Your children will be halalim, and whatever that is. So what we're doing is we're transforming the punishment that the defendant would have gotten, we're transforming it to malchut. So the point of the Mishnah is to say that when you give malchut to the Eidim Zomemim, even in the case of non-criminal accusations, that is ka'asher zamam la'asot le'achiv. Because when the Bet Din gives this Malkut, that Malkut is a transformation of the punishment that was going to be inflicted upon the defendant. It happens to be that inflicting that punishment upon the Edim Zomimim would be ludicrous. How can you say that, let's say he's Yisrael, how can you say he's going to be this, or how can you say he's going to go to Galut? The whole point of Galut is to heal the person who killed negligent homicide. So we transform the punishment, we give a Malkut, and here's the lesson. That's kasher zamam lasot lachiv. So kesad ha'isim na'asim zomemim, and the answer is one of the ways we can do zomemim is by giving them punishment of malkut, and that punishment of malkut is kasher zamam la'asot le'achiv. That's the chidush of the Mishnah. Yes?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
How did the Rabbanim arrive at the punishment is Malkut?
Kabbalah, what Harambam says, when we read.
The Rambam said it, but how did the Rambam know that?
Okay, no, so Harambam was a Talmid of, he was part of he was plugged into the traditions of the Geonim and the Hachamim of Lucena. Right, he didn't make it up, but rather it's something that from the Gemara and from his being plugged into the tradition, he understood it was Kabbalah. He didn't just say Kabbalah, meaning, one thing I can tell you is when Harambam says, Al-Pia Kabbalah, it's not made up, right? Because if it's Al-Pia Kabbalah, he would know it, and if it wasn't, then he wouldn't say that it is. Okay.
What do you mean by Kabbalah?
He's not mystical, he's thinking mystical Kabbalah.
Kabbalah with a K.
I understand.
Yes.
I understand. I misunderstood you. Yeah. Right. So here, we're not talking with the Kabbalah here, or what they study in Queens, in the Kabbalah Center. So when the Gemara, or when the Mishnah, or when the Hachamim and the Midrashim use the word Kabbalah, they mean Jewish tradition, the traditions of the Hachamim, from Moses to Joshua to the various judges to Shemuel HaNavi. So Kabbalah means tradition. It has nothing to do with the Kabbalah. You understand?
No, I didn't think that what you meant. Where that Kabbalah comes from. So that
it was a tradition. Right. So it's just part of the tradition. Torah Shabbat Peh, right? All right. Okay. So I think this is and now because we don't have a minyan, I'm going to dismiss everybody early. The point is, so those of you who want to pray in the shtibel, we can pray in the shtibel, and next week we will continue. We finished the first Mishnah. Did we finish the first Mishnah today? Yes, we finished the first Mishnah, and then next week we will start the Gemara. So you had the introduction, we had the Mishnah, I gave you the famous Makkot between the Sadukim and the Parushim, and now we're ready to start the Gemara. I don't want to start the Gemara with 5 minutes left because it wouldn't be useful. So anyway, right, I know, but we want to go. They have the minyan in the shtibel at 9:45, so we're going to stop here.
Teaching the Gemara line by line.
Yes.
I thought you said.
I'm going to be teaching the Gemara.
So it's going to be like a college study.
Right, I'm going to be teaching the Gemara line by line. That is correct.